Well, one of the things that's going to come up in the near future is not only who Georgia will play if and when, probably when, the SEC goes to a 9 game schedule, but how often will they play them and will it be a 3 and 6? Look, it's starting to look more and more like the SEC is going to go to a 9 game schedule with 3 permanent foes and 6 rotating. So I kind of took a look at that, and we talked about this over on Dog Post too. That can be a fickle crown for sure, but this is some of this is speculative. But for instance, let's just say this happens in 2025 when Texas and Oklahoma come into the league, and this is just sort of a stab at things, okay, y'all. This is not something I know. I mean, I know one thing: Georgia's gonna play Florida. After that, I don't know. But this is just a sample thing in 2025, in no order. Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville, Auburn at Auburn, Kentucky and Athens, South Carolina and Columbia, Missouri and Columbia, Mississippi State and Starkville, Oklahoma and Athens, LSU and Athens, Arkansas and Athens, Georgia Tech in Atlanta. 2026, I'm sure you're writing this down. Florida and Jacksonville, Auburn and Athens, Kentucky and Lexington, Ole Miss and Oxford, Texas A&M and College Station, Texas and Austin, Vanderbilt and Athens, Tennessee and Athens, Alabama and Athens. That season would also include UCLA in Athens, as well as Western Kentucky and Georgia Tech in Athens. 2027, Georgia and Florida and Jacksonville, Auburn, Alabama, Auburn and Auburn, Kentucky and Athens, South Carolina and Athens, Missouri and Athens, Mississippi State and Athens, Oklahoma and Norman, LSU in Baton Rouge, Arkansas in Fayetteville, uh, and then in 2028 you have this schedule, which is kind of, just stick with me here. Uh, Georgia, Florida, and Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville, Auburn, Georgia, and Athens, Kentucky, Georgia, and Lexington, Ole Miss in Athens, Texas A&M in Athens, Texas in Athens, Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee in Knoxville, Tuscaloosa for the Alabama game, Florida State in Athens, and Georgia Tech in Athens. That's a lot of big games. I mean, that's a lot of big games. I mean, just, the thing about with Georgia, it's not like they don't play big games now, because they do. I mean, every single year they play the Gators. Obviously, you got Tennessee, Auburn. Those are big games, and Georgia's done a good job scheduling with Clemson, Oregon, North Carolina. They played Notre Dame twice. So Georgia's not scared of anybody. They've played a lot of the games. But when you start talking about a schedule that no one will have played, that has Florida, Auburn, Oklahoma, and LSU all in the same season, this does not discuss Georgia Tech, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Missouri, just those games. And then you would have a season later, Florida, Auburn, Texas A&M, Texas, Tennessee, and Alabama. You're seeing here where the SEC schools simply will not survive these games, going undefeated in seasons. I mean, Georgia, Alabama every other year means one of those two teams is losing, right? I mean, that's just what it is. It's simple math. But when you throw Texas A&M, Texas, Oklahoma into the mix, um, the likelihood of everybody eating losses in the league goes higher. And this is the part where the league needs to kind of watch itself a little bit. Hey, by the way, make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION. I am running out of these books. It takes me a little bit of time to get them. Order yours today. The link is down below. 80 pages, hardcover. You cannot get this in any store outside of UGA Red Zone on Clayton, downtown in Athens. You need to order it below today. But the scheduling, it's going to be great for everybody at Red Zone because when these games happen, because you're going to have multiple big games a season in Athens. Just to review, in 2025, Auburn, Oklahoma, LSU, 3 huge games. The season later, I misspoke there. I'm sorry. That would be Oklahoma, LSU, those would be the big games in 25. In 26 at home, Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama. Those are giant games. 27. This is just SEC. That would be Auburn, uh, South Carolina. So not unbelievable in 2027. And I think the league will balance these out. But listen to 2028. Actually, I skipped to 2027. 2028 would be the schedule of all schedules, but this won't happen. But you could have, in theory, Auburn, Texas A&M, which I don't know if that would be a big deal game for everybody in Athens, Texas, and you would also host Florida State and Georgia Tech that year. So you're giving the downtown businesses, you're giving people who have property that they rent, you're giving the restaurants, the hotels are always jammed, but you're giving value for the season ticket holder. That's one thing that's going to go up for sure. But when you start talking about every other year, I mean, one year you're going to have LSU at home, next year you're going to have Alabama. One year you're going to have Texas at home, next year you're going to have Oklahoma. I mean, that's how this is going to split up. And what I read off to you is just some really basic thing. And obviously, every year, every other year, you would have Auburn. So it could be that one year when you have Alabama, you don't have Auburn at home, you have Alabama and you have Texas or something like that. And then you go on the road to Texas and Alabama. This is the new world of the SEC. This is what's coming, y'all. You need to get ready for it. And the because I think the 8 game is going away because the divisions are going away. And there is, going to be some leverage, although Disney doesn't have to do it. They are a good partner. If they got another week's worth of SEC games that they could spread out over a 12-game season, they get they would get those 8 games, 16 teams, 8 games that they could spread over a 12-week schedule, excuse me. That means you could take Georgia, Tennessee, and open the season with it. You could have an opener for the year where Texas travels to Florida. That could be your opener, could be these massive college football games. Okay. Alabama, Georgia could be in September. October would be Georgia, Auburn. Well, we've already seen that Tennessee has been going late. I don't know if that will continue, but you get my point is that these games are going to be able to be structured in a way that the league can do whatever it wants to do. I mean, your opener could be Georgia, South Carolina. Like you're opening the season against South Carolina or you're opening it against Georgia Tech. There are no rules. I want to know what you think. When you're down below taking a look at DAWGSTRUCTION, I want to know what you think about a schedule that involves all these teams. Georgia Tech is almost certainly not going off the schedule. That will stay. I think everybody wants that game to continue. And I think, frankly, that the state legislature would force it to continue. But all of these other teams, I mean, one year you would have Alabama, Texas A&M, and Auburn, and the next year you would have Texas, Oklahoma, and LSU at home. Those would be your home games. I mean, 3 times. So that's what is coming. You tell me what you think.